Week 6. First thing you want to do is, of course, click on the Week 6 folder and open up this video, but I'm assuming you've already done that. So after that, the first thing you want to do is check out the Writing Project 3 guidelines. The last writing project, you were developing a causation for whatever social event that, or excuse me, social issue that you were reviewing. And so now what you need to do is we need to start looking at what are some alternative views. So if you looked at, say, gun violence and you said a lack of gun control is the cause of gun violence. Well, now that's the popular opinion that you focused on. But now you need to start looking at an alternative opinion. So basically, really what it's going to boil down to is whenever we talk about things like popular opinion, or in this case, popular belief right here, that's going to be what you focused on in Writing Project 2. And then you'll also need to now come up with an alternative perspective. And so it gets kind of difficult because you've already spent all this time kind of getting behind this one idea, one causation for your social issue. But now it's time to start thinking about an alternative view. So let's go ahead and open up those guidelines. It's actually pretty straightforward. I'm just going to go ahead and open up my copy. 4 to 5 pages. Let's see, 7 sources, so at least 7 sources. You already have 5, so don't, if you can, avoid changing your topic. Then you don't need to look up any more sources. Oh, excuse me, you'll only need to look up 2 more sources. You already have 5 sources from Writing Project 2, and if you don't change your topic, then you'll only need to find 2 more. So let's take a look here. Writing Project 3 consists of an academic argument in which you argue currently held beliefs within your field of interest. You've already done that. You've already kind of talked about what is the common held belief inside your field of interest. Whatever you think is the cause, or whatever the cause was that you argued for Writing Project 2, that's what we're talking about here. So the currently held beliefs in your within your field of interest. That was Writing Project 2. The main task of the academic argument, which is what this essay is to first inquire about the state of your field of interest. You've already done that. You've already written Writing Project 2. At this point, you should kind of be more or less an expert on your topic. What topics are popular right now? Now, this is if you're changing your topic. So if you don't know what you want to write about, or maybe you just didn't like your topic from Writing Project 2, these are some things you're going to have to consider now. What topics are popular right now? And that only goes for people if you're changing your topic. If you're keeping the topic from Writing Project 2, well, this stuff really doesn't apply to you. But nonetheless, if you are changing topics, what topics are popular right now? You could look at gun violence, abortion. Those things are always popular. Let's see, gun laws in particular states. What else is going on? Obama's doing a lot of things right now, so pretty much anything he's doing. What is established in the past to lead to this point? So what led up to this? What is the background for this topic? Where do your beliefs stand in comparison to the commonly held beliefs in the field? So think about, what do you believe going into this topic, and where do you stand in comparison to everybody else? Establish a main claim by finding a particular topic with which you disagree. An academic argument is an argument which has a main claim that argues with a common belief held in the field. So basically, find a point where you can argue against the topic. Now, if you already have the topic from Writing Project 2, find a way that you can disagree with what you wrote in Writing Project 2. If you don't disagree with something in the field, then you don't have an academic argument. And that's kind of the idea here, is that an academic argument is an argument that falls on 2 ends of a spectrum. So for instance, if I believe that gun laws need to be increased and someone believed that they need to be decreased, then we have an academic argument there, as long as we base our arguments on sources, of course, or on empirical data and secondary data and things like that. So for this assignment, you'll take the information that you've done. You found several sources on the topic. Now find areas where you disagree. Write a 4 to 5 page academic essay in MLA utilizing 7 sources. And the way this will break down is there's going to be 4 parts. Due at the end of this week. Oh yeah, happy 4th of July, by the way. At the end of this week, on the 10th, main claims and subclaims. So that assignment's in the week folder, so I'll explain that in just a moment. Week 2, the Writing Project Works Cited page. That'll be due alongside the rough draft. So I'm just assuming everyone will include that in their rough draft, so make sure you have a works cited in your rough draft when you turn that in. And finally, that is the 17th. So not this week we turn in our main and subclaims. Next week we'll turn in our rough draft. And then the following week on the 24th, we'll turn in our final draft. And I think the end of the term is sometime during this part of the week, if I'm not mistaken. I may have to double check that. Let me double check that date, because I think the term may end sometime this week. But nonetheless, that'll come up whenever in the next. I'll post an announcement if that comes to be a problem. So let's go back to week 6. Take a look at our assignments. So the assignment, first of all, watch these popular versus scholarly sources, because you're going to need those scholarly sources to kind of figure out what most people say in the field, and hopefully you've already used those sources in Writing Project 2 if you're using the same topic. If you're not using the same topic, now you have to find new sources, so you'll need some scholarly sources. Now also, make sure that you have at least one scholarly source within your works cited page, and this video kind of explain what that is. Basically what it works, a scholarly source is one that's peer edited by an organization that is an academic organization or an academic person of some kind. So for instance, if CAC had an online journal, if they publish that through their website, I can guarantee that they're going to have all of the scholars and all of the professors at CAC review that first, or at least people within the field. Of course, they're not going to have math professors reviewing an English article, but you get the idea. Now, once you have some scholarly sources, this kind of explains how to read it, so you can kind of figure out where information is within a scholarly article, because they're broken into 5 sections, just like your essays are. And if you know what those sections are, then it's really easy to read the articles, because you don't have to read the whole thing, to be honest. You can skip over all the technical data, and you can skip over all the numbers, and just get right to the discussion part, where they just kind of say, hey, this is really what our article is trying to say. So the popular belief, let's get down to the actual assignment. In 150 words or more, explain to me what the currently held belief is. Now, if you're sticking with what Writing Project 2 topic was, explain to me what your causation was in Writing Project 2. If you're picking something new, then you're going to need to come up with something new. Either way, make sure you're using a scholarly source to back this up. That is, find a source that says more or less what you just described in 150 words. So find someone to back up what you explain here. And that's really all that is. In 150 words, explain that using a source. Now, the next assignment, let's see here, providing an alternative perspective. Now, once you've explained to me the popular belief here, provide an alternative perspective to that popular belief. So basically, what you wrote in Writing Project 2, give me an alternative opinion, and that's going to be the perspective that you adopt for the next paper. So let's say you said that abortion needs to be made illegal, and the cause of that is the fact that, abortion is the problem, and you say the cause of that is that abortion is not legal already. So that's the cause that you took on in Writing Project 2. Now, if you're keeping that same topic, now you got to find a new cause. So why is abortion a problem? If it's not because it's not illegal, then you need to come up with something else. Now I know that's kind of confusing, so let's do an easier one. Let's say that your windows are dirty, and originally you said it was because the birds outside keep crapping on your window. Okay, that was the cause in Writing Project 2. Now you need to come up with an alternative perspective. What else is making your windows dirty? Is it the haboobs rolling in? Is it your neighbor just throwing dirt clods at your window? What is the alternative perspective? Now, and so this is kind of how I want you to describe it. In Writing Project 2, I analyzed the cause of poverty, and I believe it's caused by a struggling economy. The reason I believe this is because blah, 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 blah. And that's where you explain Writing Project 2. After that, you need to provide an alternative explanation. So this is what's going to be in your first post. Your first post is, this is kind of what I wrote about in Writing Project 2. You do that in, let's see, what was it? 250 words. So in 250 words, explain to the class what you did in Writing Project 2. Because notice this is a discussion board, so everyone's going to see that. After you do that, find another student who summarized what the Writing Project 2 was about, and then in 100 words or more, reply to them and provide them with an alternative explanation regarding that topic. So if they said, in Writing Project 1, I analyzed the cause of poverty, and I believe it's caused by a struggling economy. The reasons I believe this were because of blah, 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 blah. Basically, summarize Writing Project 2. Then you go through and you find somebody that summarized their Writing Project 2, and you reply to them. And so another student might say, well, that's interesting, perspective on the cause of poverty, Steve. Have you considered maybe a struggling education system? So you provide them with an alternative explanation. The idea here is that we all know what we wrote in Writing Project 2, but we may not have that alternative perspective, that alternative cause. So using everyone else's brain, we're going to maybe hopefully come up with an alternative cause. Finally, once you get all that stuff kind of cemented in your mind, here's my popular belief, here's what I wrote about in Writing Project 2, here's my alternative opinion, now it's time to start structuring our essay. And really what it breaks down to is our essay, our academic essay, is going to be made up of 5 sections. The introduction, the literature review, the popular opinion, the alternative causation, and the conclusion. All the things we just kind of talked about up here. So, for this assignment, I just want you to summarize. What are you going to plug into these sections when you actually start writing your essay? So for your assignment, explain your thesis in section 1. You don't have to write a section 1. You don't have to write an intro. Just write your thesis and explain what it is. In section 2, just explain the issue that you're focusing on. Are you keeping the same issue from Writing Project 2? If so, what is the actual issue? Explain that a little bit. In section 3, explain what a majority of people see as the cause of your issue. So what is the popular opinion? Explain that, and again, don't write full-on paragraphs. I'm only looking for 2 sentences tops. So your thesis is 1, and then explanation sentence. Give me 2 sentences that explain the issue you're focusing on. Give me 2 sentences that explain the popular opinion. And then once you decide on alternative causation, explain that in 2 sentences. And then, of course, explain the purpose of your essay in 2 sentences. So total, this should be 10 sentences, 2 for each section. Section 1 should have 2, section 2 should have 2, 3, 4, 5. They should all have 2 sentences explaining what I asked for here. So other than that, that's really what we're working on this week. And of course, 4th of July, I don't expect many people to be working on it, but this isn't due until the 10th. So take your time working on this. I really expect there to be a lot of questions because this is usually where the most confusion comes from. So if you're not confused, good. But if you are, don't feel bad. Feel free to contact me. Skype, email, text message, phone call, any of that stuff is fine. Other than that, be sure to let me know if you have questions. Other than that, just get in contact with me if you need anything else. Otherwise, I will see you guys next week.